And now, a WYFF News 4 special.
This is some heavy snow, folks.
Snow, ice.
We're going to begin to see that ice accumulation.
Frigid temperatures.
I love snow.
The WYFF News 4 weather team is hard at work.
Yes, snow is possible later this week.
Getting you ready for whatever winter weather may head our way.
I'm really hoping that we get some.
From the slopes, to the roads, to 40,000 feet in the air.
This information is fed directly into our computer weather models.
We take a look at how weather impacts your everyday life.
We moved to South Carolina so we could avoid the snow.
And what it could bring next.
I'll take as much as we can get.
Forecasting our future. Winter Weather Outlook starts now.
Hello, I'm WYFF News 4 Chief Meteorologist Chris Justice. Thank you for joining us for our Forecasting Our Future Winter Weather Outlook. The entire WYFF News 4 weather team is here to bring you what we can expect this winter and how you can prepare. Plus, we'll give you a glimpse behind the scenes so you can get to see the data that we use to pinpoint a forecast. Now, before we can look ahead to winter's forecast, we need to look at what's typical around here. As meteorologists, that's important when communicating wintry threats. Some snow is normal, but a lot is not. And we need to take a look at those numbers a little bit more in depth. Now, the average snowfall per year across the upstate is 5.1 inches, with the snowiest month of wintertime being in January. So let's look closer at the numbers as well. So by the month, November accounts for 2% of our snow, December 9%, but a whopping 49% of our snows occur in January, some in March and some in March as well. But January is usually when we get the most snow across the area. Snow has come down as early as October 20th back in 1913 or as late as May 7th. Yes, at GSP we had snow May 7th, 1992. And get this, the last 4 years have all recorded snow in the upstate in western North Carolina. Not much in 2019-2020, but you might remember this past year where we had 6.5 inches. Do you remember this? This was January 16th. I had an 11-day-old at home, a little infant. She's now almost a year old, but hey, the upstate saw as much as 10 inches in some spots and even higher totals across Asheville and Hendersonville. The snow blanketed the entire viewing area and took us several days to fully dig out from that. And here's a fun fact for you. It has snowed every single year on record except for the 2011-2012 winter. That's the only year on record we did not have snow at GSP's airport. Now, speaking of our forecast, have you ever wondered where the information comes from to feed our computer models? It's a question we get asked often here in our weather department. Our own Perella Lewis gets you some answers.
As we get closer to the launch, we're going to actually use Dr. Godfrey's weather station.
This is something not everyone gets to see.
Probably go up and hopefully everything's going to be fine.
Even for meteorology students at the University of North Carolina, Asheville, it's a rare sight.
This is cool. This is my first weather balloon launch. It's really cool to get to watch this in person.
A weather balloon where forecasters and researchers alike get data from higher levels in the atmosphere, and we get to witness how that's done.
So if it's speaking to the antennas properly and they're connected to our receiving station and our laptop, I should be seeing some actual realistic data.
Dr. Douglas Miller starts with checking the radio sun.
This particular model is I'm at 1.
A sensor that collects data as it moves high into the sky.
So I got to flip the on switch, and if everything works right, then I'll start beeping and flashing a red LED light.
And just what does the sensor do?
It measures pressure and altitude. It measures temperature and moisture. And with its GPS antenna on board, it also measures wind speed and wind direction.
Now it's time to inflate the balloon and tie a string.
This is to make sure the helium doesn't leak before we're finished with our launch.
Because of its size, getting ready to launch can be a science of its own.
All right, we're away from the walls.
Once the balloon is launched,
I do the countdown and you'll just lift.
Ready to go?
3, 2, 1, lift off.
it'll travel 30 to 40,000 feet in a little over an hour. Wow. Sending back precious data for forecasting.
This information is fed directly into our computer weather models. Without this information, we rely completely on satellites.
And this kind of information is crucial in day-to-day forecast.
And so we can see things like where are there unstable layers, where might there be severe weather that breaks out as a result of those unstable layers. So these are really critical for helping us to be able to initialize our computer models with the right structure.
The National Weather Service launches these weather balloons twice a day, every day at the exact same time. That way we can interpret and analyze the data all across the United States and even around the world.
Oh yeah, I see it.
It's an important daily operation that keeps forecasts
And it's collecting data right now.
soaring high above all other data.
So they've done studies where they withhold the weather balloon data from their computer weather models, and there's a significant degradation or worsening of the computer weather forecast when they take out the weather balloon data.
Perella Lewis, WYFF News 4.
Good data makes a good forecast. Right now, as Perella mentioned, these weather balloon launches are done officially by the National Weather Service, but UNC Asheville also does their own for research purposes and to provide supplemental data during especially winter weather events. Now, from balloon technology to our own technology, live Super Doppler 4. It's something we count on every single day to bring you the latest up-to-the-minute information into when wintry weather is coming our way, especially. Meteorologist Griffin Hardy explains what live Super Doppler 4 is and how we use it to fine-tune our forecasts.
So one thing all of us on the weather team are very thankful for is having our very own Doppler radar. As many of you already know, radar is very useful when we're keeping an eye on thunderstorms, but it is also helpful during winter weather. Of course, during the colder months here in the upstate, it often isn't just rain that's falling from the sky, but it could be snow or sleet or a mix of all three. And having live Super Doppler 4 allows us to see not just where any precipitation is falling, but also what type of precipitation it may be. And with that being said, the biggest advantage that we have with our own radar is how often we get new information. When we use radar from the National Weather Service, we often get new scans of the radar every 3 to 4 minutes. With live Super Doppler 4, we're able to see new scans every 60 seconds. So the next time we're anticipating our next winter storm, whether it's sleet, snow, rain, or even freezing rain, remember that we have up-to-the-minute looks as it comes down in your neighborhood with live Super Doppler 4. Back to you.
Thank you, Griffin. Great information. A hat, scarf, gloves, all necessary before going outside in winter weather. But there are some other key things you should keep on hand. Things that hopefully you never need, but could end up saving your life.
Whether it's snow, ice, or a mixed bag, the winter season can certainly bring it all. So now's the time to make sure your car has everything it needs in order for you to be prepared before a winter storm hits. So here are a few items you might want to have in your car. Definitely have water, extra snacks, and a first aid kit. You also want to make sure that you're staying warm. We've got hat and gloves. Extra jacket, good to have on the go, as well as an extra blanket if you do have that. And then of course, this colder weather can certainly impact your battery. So you want to have extra jumper cables and a flashlight. It's always good to have your de-icer for your windshield. It's definitely something that's always necessary for when the winter season moves on in. And of course, don't forget your ice scraper and brush. And it's also a good idea to make sure that your tank is halfway full, at least as much as you possibly can. And if you do find yourself stuck on the roads in that inclement weather, you definitely want to make sure that you allow plenty of space between you and other drivers, so you've got lots of room to brake and never use cruise control. And of course, stay up to date with our weather team throughout the entire winter season so you and your family can stay prepared. In Greenville with WYFF News 4, I'm Sydney Sullivan.
Sydney, thank you. Great advice. Now, different kinds of weather warrant different impacts. Now, we show you impact or alert days, our way of warning you to significant weather. Now, when you see these yellow icons, it means it's an impact day. That means that it's out of the ordinary weather. Think of this as a yellow highlighter, basically my way of letting you know the hours and the days that we expect extreme weather, not necessarily in the forecast, but rather out of the ordinary weather. Examples of that impact day can be especially hot or cold days, days, washouts with rain, foggy conditions, or especially windy days, or snow that doesn't necessarily accumulate. Now that brings us to the alert days. Now anytime you see the red icon, it means that dangerous weather is possible during these type scenarios. We're talking about significant severe weather that could impact you and your family. It's these times that you need to have a way to get warnings, have a way to watch us on WYFF4, whether it be on air on our WYFF4 mobile app or have a weather radio, basically staying weather aware. Now, those weather conditions that would prompt an alert day are snow and ice that could impact your travel, flooding, tornadoes, hurricanes, and of course stormy weather with damaging winds, hail, and possibly even tornadoes there. Now, coming up, have you ever wondered why that I-85 line is often used as the snow and rain line? Now, we're going to explain the reason for that. An exclusive bird's eye view from Sky 4, in fact. And ready to hit the slopes, a behind-the-scenes look at how resorts get ready for you, even when Mother Nature may not be cooperating. When it comes to forecasting, our team not only analyzes computer models, but also the lay of the land. Here's a closer look at I-85 and where it exactly runs through the upstate. Now, every winter, we get questions from viewers asking, why is it always the rain-snow line seems to be right along I-85? Now, meteorologist Sydney Sullivan took a trip up in Sky 4 to take a look at the surrounding peaks and how they play a big role in our forecast.
Whether it's rain or snow, one of the most common questions I hear is what happens at I-85. And when it comes to winter weather, that dividing line can make or break a snow day. So let's break it down. Because of our surrounding landscape, forecasting is not always as clear-cut. In winter, temperatures and precipitation can vary drastically, even traveling the 60 miles from Asheville to Greenville. After last year's snow, many are anxious for the first flakes of the season.
Obviously, we wouldn't like to see several feet of snow, but something to play in, I think that'd be really cool.
Last year we made a baby snowman about a couple inches high, and it was the best thing ever, and we saved a snowball in our freezer.
Strategically placed at the base of the mountains, I-85 is the boundary between higher elevation to the north and the battleground for whether or not we see a blanket of snow.
For the children, I'd like to have snow.
I am excited for snow. I'm really hoping that we get some.
As elevation begins to climb, temperatures decline. And depending on where you are, temperatures can vary by 20 degrees. Another ingredient that affects the forecast, how a weather system interacts with our mountain ridges. Simply put, as cold air at the top of the mountain blows down the slope, it tends to warm and dry out, which is why areas north of 85 tend to see more snow than our friends south of the highway. However, the I-85 split isn't always the difference between who enjoys the fresh powder. And if those factors aren't aligned, sometimes the I-85 divide can lead to icy, slick roads instead, especially across the upstate and northeast Georgia. While we are nowhere near being the snow capital of the nation, many people in the upstate are hoping to see at least some snow this season.
Yes, I love snow. I'll take as much as we can get.
So whatever this winter season may bring, it's very likely you will hear our weather team mention the magical line at the foot of the mountains. In Sky 4, with WYFF News 4, I'm Sydney Sullivan.
It's really simple, even though it looks complicated.
The snow is falling, but not from the sky just yet. Coming up, a behind-the-scenes look at ski resorts taking weather into their own hands. I just love seeing this. Fresh powder at the ski slopes. Yep, ski season picking up in the mountains. Meteorologist Griffin Hardy took a trip to Sugar Mountain to learn more about how snow machines work and how usage may have changed over time.
So here we are up at Sugar Mountain up in western North Carolina. It's a bit of an unusual sight because we're standing on green grass, and behind me we've got the snow machines going. It's pretty cold outside today, right at around freezing, so that snow is sticking. And as you can hear, those machines are pretty loud. They help generate the snow from a mixture of water and compressed air, and there's about 60 of them in total, all up and down Sugar Mountain.
It's really simple, even though it looks complicated. You need water. You need air, and you need cold weather. And so there's no magic to it. Once it's below freezing, the water droplet is just basically busted up in real tiny little particles. And the smaller they are, the quicker they freeze. and then you have snow.
The water they freeze in the snow machines is a special mixture of ingredients that helps the water freeze more quickly.
So we actually put an additive, a natural additive in it that comes out of Norway that they found that drips off the pine trees, and it just puts a little nucleus in the water. Again, it's nothing artificial, it's nothing chemical, it's just something that helps that water droplet to freeze quicker.
Gunther says man-made snow is just as good, if not better, to ski on than natural snow.
So man-made snow is very nice to ski on. It's very durable. It lasts for quite a long time. And the reason is, see, we don't have snowflakes. We don't make snowflakes. We make a snow kernel. So basically what we're making is snow that's similar to what's in a snowdrift. It's more dense. The denser it is, the longer it lasts.
The fact that they use snow machines is not to say Sugar Mountain doesn't receive any natural snow. According to data on the resort's website, they've recorded an average of 76 inches of snow on average per year since 2001. That being said, with our local climate here in the Carolinas, we don't see quite as many snow days per year compared to other parts of the country. About 10 miles away in Boone, North Carolina, where official records are kept by the Weather Service, they had an average of 9 snow days per year from 2011 to 2020. That is down from previous decades. From 1981 to 1990, Boone had double that number with 18 snow days per year on average. Gunther is not deterred, he says, and told me while they make more snow than they used to during the 1970s and 80s, changes in the number of snow days are not the main reason.
Are we making more snow? Yes, we are. We just want to be open faster, cover terrain faster, more terrain faster. You know, in 1976, we covered Big Birch to start with, which is about a 2,000-foot slope. Now we open up with the Summit Express, which is all the way to the top, and Easy Street and the Magic Carpet. So we open 6 slopes at a go at it where we used to do 2.
So whether or not it's a couple inches of snow on one day or a couple of feet of snow, these are still the machines we got to rely on here in North Carolina to make sure all these skiers can shred it up here at Sugar Mountain. For now, reporting at Sugar Mountain, I'm meteorologist Griffin Hardy. I'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Griffin. I love it. How would you like to have one of those snow machines in our backyard, right? Now, from snow on the slopes to snow in your own backyard, what are the chances of actually seeing a white Christmas? Perella Lewis looks at the data in the upstate and in the mountains.
Okay, well, yeah, we get this question every single year. Will we have a white Christmas? And to answer that, we first have to go back to history, right? Historically, when have we seen that? Well, first of all, we have to say, when was the last time we had measurable snow, which we're counting as an inch or more, on the ground Christmas Day? Well, at GSP, we'd have to go back to 2010. That's when we had about 1.5 inches on the ground. Before that, it was the 60s, the 40s, and then the early 1900s. So it hasn't happened a lot. As we travel up north into the mountains, well, we have to go back to 2010 as well. We had more snow on the ground, 6.5 inches there, then the 80s, then the 60s, then the 40s. So then I started wondering, okay, what weather pattern were we in? For instance, right now, we're in a La Nina weather pattern, which is typically warmer and drier than average. We typically have 3, La Nina, El Nino, and neutral. And yes, all of those years where we had measurable snow on Christmas Day that I just showed you, we were in La Nina, sometimes we were in El Nino, and sometimes we were in a neutral weather pattern. So this did not seem to make a difference at all. So our chances for a white Christmas are rare, that is for sure. In fact, if we crunch the numbers at GSP, it's anywhere from 1 to 3% chance that we could have a white Christmas. Those numbers go up a little bit in Asheville. It's closer to a 7% chance. So will we have a white Christmas this year? Well, the chances are slim, but every single Christmas we do have a chance.
I love it, Perella. So you're saying there's a chance. Coming up, new data in showing us what December and January could hold, plus an outlook for the rest of winter. Who could see snow and how much in just a few minutes. Well, welcome back. Let's get right into the forecast here. When we look at winter weather forecasting or seasonal forecasting, you start by looking at the pattern that we're entering. Now, historically speaking, El Nino and La Nina do have impacts on us snow-wise as a season. El Nino typically brings us almost double the amount of La Nina years, but it's the neutral years where the pattern's kind of in between that we get the most snow. Now, going into this winter, we are clearly locked into a La Nina. Now, what does that mean? Well, basically, it starts way out in the Pacific with cooler water temperatures, and what that means is a big old dud of a jet stream. Basically, the southern jet is just not very active. That usually means drier and warmer air for us in the southeast and much of the east coast, stretching all the way up toward New England. So I did some digging here. I crunched all the La Nina winters the last 21 years, and you can see some years have given us hardly any snow, while others have given us a lot. In fact, I wanted to check the above average years, and yeah, there were only 3, including last season gave us a whopping 6.5 inches in one single snow. So as you can see here, on average, La Nina seasons do not give us above average snow, but there are those seasons and those occasions where the cold air does match. So our winter forecast for this year calls for long periods of warm and dry spells. We will see that in December, but we will also have those short but intense cold blasts. If you remember last season, we were in the midst of a significant cold blast when we got that moisture to ride our way, and it just so happened that the moisture came in during that 3 or 4 day cold blast, and we got a whole lot of snow across the area. In fact, as much snow as we've had in 10 years. Now, the snow chances will be found in those pattern changes. Now, it won't snow every single week this winter, obviously, but we'll find those chances when the pattern begins to change. But frequent or a cold winter does not look likely. So what does that look like for Greenville? Well, mainly dry and warm. Our normal snow sits at about 5.9 inches. Our forecast is for about 2 to 3 inches this winter. This is just an outlook here, but for Rutherford, Polk, Spartanburg, Cherokee, and Union County, you typically get 5.8 inches. We're going a little bit below average on that this year, 2 to 3 inches. Now, all it takes is one big snow to give you all that in one single event, or you could get it in a couple. Pickens, Clemson, Anderson. Now, this is just an average as the whole. Of course, northern Pickens and Oconee County get a lot more snow, but normally get 3.4 inches. Our forecast is for 1 to 2 inches. And you look at Greenwood, Abbeville, Lawrence County, on average, you get about 2 inches per year. We'll get a dusting to as much as a half an inch, according to the current data. Now, northeast Georgia, from Stevens to Hart to parts of Franklin and Elbert counties, you get anywhere from a half an inch to 2.5 inches. More toward the north, we're forecasting a dusting to as much as an inch in those areas. Now, the high mountains of North Carolina, we're talking about some serious snow. You typically get as much as 50 inches. You'll get about a foot. It's not going to be an overly snowy winter, but Asheville and Hendersonville, you too will get snow with as much as 4 to 5 inches across the area. Now, our commitment to you is to keep you posted no matter what weather comes our way. We are committed to preparing you for any and all weather that comes our way, including the potential for severe weather. Remember to download the WYFF News 4 mobile app so that you can get those alerts and stay safe and up to date on storms and school closings.